Hey, welcome everyone to Wizards Outlook. We got Raymond Lyons live from Capital One. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. We'll get straight into it. How about this, though? The Washington Wizards, Avi Kuzma Power Wizards, passed the Nets 110-104. We saw them close out a game. It was some weird stuff in the midst of it, but your thoughts on them closing out a game, having to get some stops, in the process to get their what is that, sixth win of the season?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing that stood out to me. At the end of the third quarter, I was nervous because it was a typical ebb and flow of how the games usually go. Offense clicking, but defense leaves something to be desired, and they were just leaving it up to chance, and we know that typically doesn't end well for them. So yeah, they were able to get some stops. It was like a little mid to late fourth quarter push from Kuz, where he just kind of went on a personal run that just gave him that separation. Then after that, with some of that funny stuff he was talking about, it was kind of jumbled up and bumbling on both sides, but the Wiz did enough in the fourth to pull it out. They held him to 18 points in the quarter. Like, when's the last time we can say that happened? And that was the difference in the game. Like I said, man, it was back and forth the whole time. Denny was huge tonight. Mike Muscala was huge tonight. He played 30 minutes, and him stretching the floor, keeping those bigs out the paint, kind of made things tough for the Nets defensively. Wes talked about it before the game. What type of challenges, the types of players they have present on their end. But with Gaffin, he kind of plays where they like to be, down low around the rim. But Muscala, with his shooting ability, just makes things a little awkward for them. Getting them in space. And they have to honor it because he has capability to make those shots. But that also opens up things for other guys to go to work. We saw Kuz take advantage. We saw Denny take advantage. Guys kind of getting downhill and creating things at the rim. So yeah, man, we'll take it. Like we say all the time, if they would just give us one quarter, how different a lot of these games would be. And that's what they did tonight. They gave us one quarter, the fourth quarter. And like I said, held them to 18 points, and they won the game by 6, and they sent the Nets to the line 27 times, to their 7. They were out rebounded 53-43, but their saving grace was they shot the ball really well, 51% from the field, almost 40% from 3, and they defended for 12 minutes. That'll give you a win.
Especially in a game like this, as you mentioned, it was back and forth affair. Think about this: how many times have we seen this year? They gave up 33 points in a quarter, and followed it up by giving up significantly less. I can't think of. Can you think of any of those times that come to mind? In terms of how that trend's been this year. Usually, you give up the high number and it's equal to or greater than the following quarter, which has kind of been most of everyone's discontent around these parts, is if you're able to lock in, or even half a quarter, what have you, just in those moments, lock in and get some stops, it pay off. And it paid off in this one. Again, it's one game. But, in the situation they're in, a win is a win. Credit, give credit where it's due. As you mentioned, huge game from Kuz, and then from Denny as well. 13 boards. Yeah, I know they lost the battle on the boards by 10 tonight, but we saw quite a bit about, with them not having great size at the 5, those oversized wings they have, I got to hit the glass. And tonight you got 20 plus from Denny and Kuz. And I don't care how it's broken up, but you need to at least have a combined 15 to 18 on a nightly basis between those two, or 14, whatever it may be. But if y'all are pretty much looking, if y'all are tall enough to look your five in the eyes, y'all can get down there and hit the glass with them. I don't think that's too much to ask. I think that's fair. You mentioned how well they shot the ball. I was just impressed that they kept their composure a bit better than another team down the stretch, which we haven't seen that much this year, if at all, really.
Yeah, man. You know, Kuz had his push, and that was pretty much what gave them the breathing room, and then they just kind of finished them off. But even outside of that, Denny had a couple of heady plays. In a game where we didn't really see Tyus Jones kind of controlling traffic like he normally does. We've seen this before where the ball comes out of his hands and things go to hell. And that didn't happen for the most part tonight. It was still some parts that that you shake your head at a little bit, but for the most part they were a little they were solid with the ball.
Yeah, and to that point, there's been a couple games, even this month where some of the high usage guys, the turnover numbers is way too high. Man, 3 combined turnovers from Denny and Kuz is huge. We know how much those two have the ball throughout the course of a game. Little pockets where they're playing, they're taking over the facilitator role here and there. So I mean, look, man, I have no complaints from those two tonight in the least bit. Also thought, I know the Nets bigs had some success. Outside of that, I thought the Nets perimeter players outside of Cam Johnson, they struggle to shoot the ball. So again, just some of those little things we've mentioned or asked for, begged for, however you want to go about it, just providing some type of consistent defensive pressure. It paid off in this one, man. I'm still stuck at that 18 points. It's that rare. Like how this year's been going, it's been that rare to see 18 points in a quarter, especially those last 2 sets of numbers. It's usually nuts. And then we're on here talking about what opportunity was lost and what little stretch of the game swung this way or what have you. And look, neither team turned the ball over too much either. 16 total turnovers, I think 10 for the Nets, 6 for the Wizards. And you mentioned the Nets, they got to feel a little sick now. As bad as they shot, like those 10 free throws. Smoke 10 free throws. That's not Washington's problem. And kudos for Washington for not letting that 20, giving them more chances from the free throw line. Because then, again, we could be on here having a totally different discussion. You had anything else you wanted to add specifically to this game before we get to player of the game?
Nah, man, have at it.
Player of the game, or Denny?
I went Cole, man.
Okay.
I gotta give it to both of them. We're not here without every bit of both of their contributions. Denny kind of you mentioned the rebounding, which is something that we've been dying to see for the longest. With Gav played 17 minutes tonight. That production had to be made up somewhere, and then just Denny's decisiveness. When he plays like this, the results are usually good. It's when he thinks too much and gets in his own way is when he starts to have trouble. And Kuz, that fourth quarter, man, just that couple minutes where he was just hitting everything. He got to get some love for that, man, because that's what gave him the breathing room to go ahead and finish the game.
So, shocker, I'm going to agree wholeheartedly. As we slide over to X Factor, I'm going to throw mine out there. I'm going to give love to Mike Muscala tonight. Big moment. And as you said, being able to lift the floor where, you got to get Clax and not so much Sharp, but get Clax, especially Clax, out there paying a little bit, huge. we know what the Nets defense looks like when Clax gets to just patrol, go from box to box. Totally different. Put some pressure on the rest of them folks a little bit. When you got to honor it, Muscala shoots it well enough. I know he's only 3 of 7, but we've also seen him at times this year. You leave him open, he's had little moments where he's run off 3 or 4 consecutive threes. But your thoughts on X Factor tonight?
That's right where I was going with it, man. He just changed the complexion of the game. When he's in there, and it throws the Nets off. It's funny enough, in pregame, Jacques Vaughn said the three times we played them, they've done they've approached the game 3 different ways. He said the first game, from the first game to the second game, they didn't run the same sets and do the same actions, and he wasn't planning on them to do the same thing they did in the second game. This game, he was right. Throwing Muscala in there kind of threw a wrench in things, and and it just limits their bigs' effectiveness.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up because it's one of the things we get so many comments about coaching this year. And this is from the words of an opposing coach. Three different times they've played. We gotten 3 totally different game plans. And shout out to this one working. You gotta give credit again, going back to something as simple that we believe in here. You give credit when it's due. Good adjustment, good call. That's simple. They get a little bit of rest, and they host the Hawks on Sunday afternoon. And look, man, try to make it little by little. As cliche it is, like they need wins. It's definitely got to be one game at a time. Everything is great to happen tonight. That's great. You got a new set of boxes to check come Sunday. Dive into some of these comments before we get out of here. Blizzy, baby, smiling ear from ear. Great effort. This the Wizards I love. We not what our record shows.
Unfortunately, you're exactly what your record shows until proven otherwise. I mean, I get the sentiment from the comment because based on what he's trying to say, I kind of agree, because we talk a whole lot of times about how many games were in their grasp and they just let go, but you don't get it. There's no moral victories, man. Whatever the standings say, that's what you are until you reverse your fortunes.
Yeah, and your second comment, literally, that C word, and that's been the issue, for you can apply that to so many things with this team this year. And it unfortunately for them, they've just been consistently inconsistent at the things they need to be consistent at. And corny, cliche, whatever it might be, is that simple for sometimes it's the difference between bad teams and good teams. You got to find something you do very well every night. And this team, you get flashes here, flashes there. But yeah, I'm sure from a fan standpoint, it does feel great to see them close out a game finally correctly. When there's been so many winnable games this year where they were right there, and you're always kind of just waiting for the other shoe to drop to a degree. Michael Kirksey was going on. He said Denny is X Factor. Look, we did you one better. We went co-player of the game. Coolest player of the game. Let's freaking go Wizards. Love y'all's enthusiasm tonight, man. Got to keep the momentum. Again, going back to that dreadful C word. That's been it. We've been right here talking about this at least 5 other times this year. After games.
Mm-hmm.
They're right there like, damn, look, they did the things we know they could do. And then, yeah, it's that dreadful C word, man. I'm gonna keep going to that, man. We need this version of Denny consistently. Hey, man, like that's
the C word again.
Again, it applies to so many things surrounding this team, because this is why you had no issue giving the extension. But and I'm not saying he needs to be 21 every night, but he can impact the game so many different ways. You have to be able to do it on a nightly basis, regardless of your scoring output. And if that's what it was, I think everybody could be fine with that, right? Like, even if he didn't shoot the ball well, I know he had like 8 to 10 boards, 5, 6 assists, stressed out his man on the defensive end. But yeah. And now it's like the word of the season, honestly. We'll get to this comment in a little bit. I also like that second unit with Denny lineup, had a lot of energy on defense. And yeah, shout out to Landry Shamet getting back too. Him and DeLon, because that plays a role in that second unit too. It's not the same unit we've seen recently because folks were stepping in or they didn't have their full second unit because of injuries. DeLon was going for a while. Landry started off because of injury. Then once he got going consistently, he got hurt again. Because we saw them with Landry for a little bit. We're like, all right, look, some juice on his second unit. It's a great look. And then he was gone. And it was back to Corey and Bilal, AG, things like that. And again, they didn't have bad bench protection tonight either. No one had a 20-point game or anything like that, but it was solid. Word of the day. Yeah, word of the season. Starts with C. Is that simple. Ray, you had anything else you want to add? Give you guys 20, 30 seconds for any additional comments you may have. Again, they host the Hawks. All right, look, they host the Hawks on Sunday. Ray, get out of here, get home safely, and you all do the same. We will see y'all Sunday afternoon after Wizards Hawks.